Hello, good evening and welcome to RTD's news. The top stories are Djibouti-India cooperation, a meeting between the head of state and the Indian Prime Minister. The Nigerian troops have rescued 338 people held by Boko Haram.
Thanks for joining us. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has been received today by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The president came along with a strong delegation in India. The discussion between the president and the Prime Minister of India have focused on the way and mean to future deepen the bilateral relation between New Delhi and Djibouti. Let's not forget that Djibouti is participating in the meeting as part of the countries involved in all the aspirations of the summit. This summit, which is a platform for the distribution of economic and trade exchange between various cultural and geographical levels, our country combined the goal of an expansive economic opens in this summit, being at the forefront for the prevention of fights against terrorism and serious crime. Is also focused on a transcontinental collaboration for security. Furthermore, he will also take advantage of this trip to India in order to advocate for a greater influx of this country's business community to Djibouti, which is a link between several economic regions.
News release: the Republic of Djibouti strongly condemns the terrorist act that took place in Al-Shahid Najran Mosque in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It has been occurred during the prayer of Maghrib, where 2 people died and many injured. In this statement published today by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs indicates that our country holds its full affability and commitment to Saudi Arabia to take the necessary measures in order to put an end to the phenomenon of terrorism, and sends its sincere condolences to the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty Salman bin Abdulaziz, as well as to the Saudian people, the government and the families of the victims. May God grant them His eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
The 50th meeting of the Steering Committee for the Resilience Initiative of the Effect of the Dryness of IGAD has been opened today at the Hotel Campaski. This 2 days meeting was chaired by the Minister of Agriculture, Muhammad Ahmad Awale, where it has seen the participation of the IGAD Executive Secretary, Mr. Mahboub Maalin, and representative of IFAO, Patrick Kormawa. During this meeting, the participants are called on to discuss all the research on the eradication of hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition, as well as poverty through the social and economic progress on the sustainability of the natural resource management.
In a brief speech, the representative of FAO has reiterated to the participants their exchanges around one of the most crucial issues for the development of the region, which is the resilience, and who says resilience says the need and importance for research and innovation. As for Mr. Mahbub Maalim, has pointed out the emergence of the concept of resilience development partners, non-governmental organizations, and a plethora of actors who are now engaged in one way or another in the value of the knowledge in this field.
Aware of the challenges facing the IGAD region, particularly those relating to the vagaries of climate, weather, and insecurity in certain countries. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to summarize these challenges. There is, first of all, the persistent effect of drought, leading to food crises in certain parts of countries in the region. It is estimated that 18.2 million people in the region are facing crisis and food insecurity.
I just want to say that we also want to thank you for your effort. We do know that from the different places that you sit and from the different roles you have and from the different organizations that you represent, you are each grappling with different type of a problem and trying to push this agenda, the resilience agenda, forward, either because it is your day-to-day assignment or because the institution you represent has a role in what's going on. But whatever your role is, I know you each have enough on your plate on things that you're pushing, and sometimes it is hard and you feel like despairing.
In his speech, the Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Ahmed Awale, has recalled the climate change which is reflected by such phenomena like dryness or flood that we'll have to face. Let's hear it from the Minister.
It is not move, it is drought and desertification. Despite in 1986 was told we will eradicate drought, at the same time poverty in rural area. Now we use other words. At the time we were living at the peace of climate as a drought and flood, but we will live in other words the rhythm of Ninian and Nina that Madam Members of Parliament just mentioned in his speech. The Nino, this drought and flood, the temperature anomaly in the Pacific Basin region, which then changes the airstream that you know, and which causes the dry air rainfall disturbances that we will live in a certain parts of the East Africa. Although the phenomenon is complex, and there is disruption of the Indian Ocean and the large lake which is located in the Rift Valley that intervenes and influences. I would say that the region of Horn Africa mountains are the same, the lake are still the same, but there is environmental shocks that disrupt and force people living in the region of aggressive environment, increasing the changing methodology system of lifestyle. I would like to say what will definitely change is that we will have to adapt is pastoral system based on long transhumance. This system cannot live in this harsh environment. It is a divorce between man and nature.
The International Conference on Resilience, Research and Innovation came to an end yesterday evening at the Kempinski Palace Hotel. For more information, let's follow this comment.
Of the International Conference on Resilience, Research and Innovation organized by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research was completed last night at the Kempinski Palace. The closing ceremony was intended by the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nabil Mohammed, a representative of UN organization, scientific expert and researcher. This today's conference, officially launched Monday by the head of state, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, was an opportunity to examine the role that research and innovation can play in guiding and strengthening intervention to build resilience, drought and other shocks. Mrs. Amina Said Shire, a researcher at the University of Djibouti, was a bit briefed the thinking and ending to this international conference on resilience, research and innovation. The International Conference on Resilience, Research and Innovation has allowed to review the research improving the resilience of population in arid and semi-arid, said Mrs. Amina. She also adds that the analysis of the main challenge, innovation and research experience with a view to developing a resilience vector. The representative of FAO in Djibouti said she was pleased to see so many scientists, researchers, experts, and development actors from several countries of the region, but also much future away meets at the Kempinski Palace. Mrs. Emmanuel Gern-Bilch has emphasized that resilience is at the heart of the overall objective of the strategic framework of the FAO in Djibouti and in the region. On his side, the Minister of Higher Education and Research said that the International Conference on Resilience Research and Innovation has helped to strengthen the knowledge and capacities in the institution and actors to increase the resilience against dryness. He also highlighted the importance of creating a East Africa Center that will allow to coordinate our activities in climate issues.
How to present a business creation project. It is in this sense that a training seminar on project management has been closed yesterday afternoon at the municipal library. This seminar on entrepreneurship has been beneficial for around young trainees from the popular neighborhoods, including university students. This training has been provided and initiated by the Association of Young People for the Social Development and the Preservation of the Environment, Cartile. The goal was to instill in these young trainees the spirit of entrepreneurship and for them to learn the methodology to be followed for the establishment of company creation project. The training will allow these young people to take part in the economic development of their country.
A violence occurred between young people of the same neighborhood that opposed two groups resident in Layablé in the municipality of Balbala has been settled in a friendly matter this morning in the Al-Rahma complex. It's through consulting the neighborhood composed of 25 members such as the parents, the notable of Layablé neighborhood, and of course the senior executive of Balbala municipality, civilian and uniformed men, that this violence has come to an end this morning. Let's recall that this disagreement between the two groups have rooted in a fight between the children who played together. Was present at this reconciliation session the president of the commune Balbala, the sub-prefect of the same commune, Mrs. Suad Qumane, the wives of the neighborhood children, parents and mediators who have massively contributed in this reconciliation, as well as the police official and gendarmerie. During this reconciliation session, the president of the municipality of Balbala has said that it was an advance and a first that a conflict of this scale has been quickly settled by the local among themselves.
The Al-Fawza Association has granted yesterday a donation of school kits in the village of Ripta located in the region of Tajora. The beneficiaries of this donation are around 55 students from the basic education. These educational materials are intended for the children in the remote villages. The event has seen the participation of the Assistant Prefect, Mr. Habib Jilani, the representative of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, the leaders of Riptat Village, and the General Okaz. In his speech, Mr. Habib Jilani has congratulated the action taken by the Association Al-Fawza in favor of the deprived populations. For its part, the project director Ali Muhammad Mbassa has noted that the next step of this project will be in the village of Arta and then Al Sabiye in Diqil in the next few days. As for the president of the association, Mohammed Musa Kamil, has thanked the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports Badul Hassan Badul for the grant of school materials to the children in remote villages. He also thanked the prefecture of Tajara and the chief of the village for their collaboration. And now on the international scene, Nigeria has intensified its operational rescues.
That's right, Hidayah. Nigerian President Buhari has demanded an end to the Boko Haram insurging Nigeria troops rescued 328 hostages of the Islamic radical group Boko Haram in a raid in northeastern Nigeria. The military announced today. For more detail in this comment.
Nigerian troops have rescued 338 people, mainly women and children, held by Boko Haram Islamists around the group's Sambisa forest, a stronghold in the restive northeast, the army said Wednesday. The army unit rescued 338 persons that were held captive by the terrorists. the army said of an operation on Tuesday, adding that 192 of the survivors were children and 138 women. The raid targeted suspected Boko Haram terrorist camps at Pulajalin and Munawesh village on the edge of the Sambisa forest, the army said in a statement, adding that troops killed 13 suspected jihadists and seized a cache of armies and ammunition. The Nigerian military has in recent months claimed a string of success against Boko Haram in its quest to end the hardline Islamist group's 6-year insurgency.
UN said that 700,000 refugees reached Europe this year. What can you tell us, Hidayah?
Exactly. The report says children made up 20% of the total arrivals and more than 3,000 have either died or gone missing. The explanations in this report.
The FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice have opened an investigation into the violent arrest of a black female high school student by a white police officer, footage of which has gone viral and sparked outrage. The agencies have opened a civil rights investigation into the circumstances surrounding the arrest of a student at Spring Valley High School in South Carolina. The FBI agents David Thomas told the new agencies on Tuesday the FBI will collect all available facts and evidence in order to determine whether a federal law was violated. The hashtag Assault High Spring Valley was trending on Twitter on Monday as the video, which appeared to have been taken by other students on their mobile phone, went viral. Hillary Clinton, the front-runner Democratic presidential nomination, tweeted her outrage on Tuesday. There is no excuse for violence inside a school. The assault Spring Valley High School is unacceptable. School should be a safe place, said Clinton. U.S. media identified the officer as Ben Field, one of the 2 officers assigned to the school. Fields has been placed administrative leave pending an internal investigation. The incident is under investigation by the Colombian Field Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau's Civil Rights Division, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for District South Carolina. The FBI and the DOJ confirmed on Thursday this incident comes amid a heightened focus on police brutality in the U.S. after a string of incidents, some deadly, involving law enforcement officials and African.
We are sorry this weren't the images, but we will back to this subject. On UN says over 700,000 refugees reached Europe this year. Let's hear it from this comment.
Europe Mediterranean shore so far this year amid the continent's worst refugee crisis since World War II. The UN Refugee Agency had said about 562,000 people fleeing war and upheaval, mainly in Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan, reach Greece shores, while some 140 have arrived in Italy this year, according to the report released on Tuesday. In the whole of 2014, the number of people arriving was 219,000. Children made up 20% of the total arrival this year. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees said more than half of this year's arrival were from Syria, 90% from Afghanistan and 6% from Iraq. A total of 3,210 refugees have either died or gone missing as they made their journey. 85% of the refugees were from what the UNHCR described as the world's 10 main refugees countries. As Europe struggled to deal with the crisis, the flow showed no signs of abating despite worsening weather conditions, according to the International Organization for Migration, which reported the arrival of 5,239 people in Greece on Saturday.
And now in Brazil, indigenous Olympics brings native peoples together through sport. Archers, wrestlers and runners from ethnic groups from around the world have descended on the Brazilian Amazon city of Palmas to take part in the world's first indigenous games. The sporting event, which is bringing together athletes from more than 20 countries, has been officially opened on October 23 and will run until November the 1st. Participants are competing in 10 sports ranging from running and swimming to wrestling and football, as well as more traditional games like spear throwing and racing with the heavy logs. This is the first year that Brazil has opened its annual indigenous games to foreigners, giving in the flavor of what some describe as low-key version of the next year's Summer Olympics being staged in Rio de Janeiro.
That's all for tonight's news. Thanks for your attention. The program still continues on RTD, so stay with us.